Huggies Front Blowout Blocker versus chocolate syrup.
Ew.
It's 5 a.m. I got a butt full of poop, but I cannot peel myself
my
away from the
God,
computer
why
to go
that?
take care of that business. I'm refusing nature's call.
Why did
And
that
it's
ad
not
work with
insomnia
that?
that's keeping me awake right now. We are in the middle of what I believe to be an actual big development here in the Epstein case. CoffeeZilla just made a video talking about this, as well as giving instructions on how you yourself can get your hands on this latest dump of documents that wasn't supposed to go out yet, but had been accessible to people savvy enough to get their hands on it, and now it's been disseminated. And these are some documents here that I imagine they were probably going to do a little bit more to hide some names and hide certain elements of, because hooey, boy howdy, I imagine
said, "Boy,
Trump and a
howdy."
lot of the elites are doing this right now. Yeesh. There is some big stuff in here, and I'm not saying that sarcastically this time around. Yes, the vast majority is still like hundreds of pages of completely blacked out, redacted garbage, like it's completely useless. But some of them that they didn't get a chance to go through and just, fucking vanish to the shadow realm has eye-opening stuff that directly contradicts a narrative that the government's been running with for a while.
Here's what that looks like. It's volume 8 of the files, but you can see right now that they've only released 7 data sets. And so myself, the guys at Jmail, and the guys at DropSite, we've been investigating this. I've partnered with them to kind of look at some of these files. And they got access to volume 8 early. You would just type it in the URL. It wasn't like indexable on search, but you could just type in the specific URL and it would just come up. You could download the entire zip file, and that's what we did.
Before anyone tries to cry foul questioning the authenticity of these documents here, this is the actual volume 8. They just made it accessible by pure accident because everyone that seems to be working at the highest level is actually like a thumb-sucking fucking brain-dead moron.
Specifically, I want to draw your attention immediately to the 10 co-conspirators that are mentioned in some of these emails in 2019. Now, this is just alarming stuff because prior to this, remember that all we really had was Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. That's the only people who have ever faced any charges at all. Ghislaine Maxwell, the only one who actually faced consequences, right? But in 2019, apparently there were 10 co-conspirators. Now, the people who were sending this to and from have been blacked out, but at the bottom we see that this is the Violent Crime Section, Crimes Against Human Trafficking Unit.
That is huge information, especially when you consider clowns like Kash Patel saying that there's no evidence that Jeffrey Epstein was trafficking victims to others or anything like that, making it seem like it was a solo operation and Ghislaine Maxwell, was second fiddle and that's it. And also Maxwell, worth remembering, isn't exactly facing the harshest of punishment. Not real justice there now that she's at a summer camp prison for a little bit petting service animals. So I want to also make a side note. Kash Patel needs to be in jail. Like, he literally needs to be arrested. I don't know why perjury isn't something that's taken seriously anymore. There is irrefutable evidence Kash Patel has lied on record about this case. It's crazy that he just gets to do that with pure immunity. But I won't start shitting and spitting about that too hard right now. The important thing about this piece that CoffeeZilla is highlighting is that we now have information that confirms that authorities were looking into other co-conspirators in this operation. Co-conspirators that clearly they must have dropped the leads at some point. They stopped sniffing around, said not worth pursuing, but at one point they did have other co-conspirators and apparently quite a bit of information on them, as the documents seem to hint at and reveal and talk around. So what the fuck happened, and why are they now pretending that there aren't co-conspirators when we now have hard proof that there was and that they were pursuing for however brief a time?
And additionally, some of the details on this are revealed later because we see this subject line. It says co-conspirators at the top. And it says, blank does not need to head out. We made contact with blank last night in New York City. Blank last night in New York. Contact was made with blank, blank, and blank. By the way, I love how these potential co-conspirators are people who are being blacked out. Like, why? I thought the whole point of this was you couldn't redact people for personal information reasons or for public embarrassment. You could only redact on the basis of it being a victim. And I'm not sure how these people could possibly be victims here.
Epstein Files Transparency Act prohibits redactions, quote, on the basis of embarrassment, reputational harm, or political sensitivity. Has anything been redacted on that basis?
Absolutely, positively not.
Liar, liar, plants for hire. His nose about to grow fucking 5 feet with that big old fib. This is inarguable that they are redacting names of people that aren't victims here. As CoffeeZilla points out, these are co-conspirators. The evidence is overwhelming. There's no wiggle room here, no way to weasel out some kind of explanation for why these would be justifiably censored and blacked out and redacted. These are clearly not victims. This is about the co-conspirators. So there should be no exceptions made. Their names should be revealed here in these documents, but they're not. It's been redacted. Why? Who are they covering up for? And why? This is illegal. You cannot do that. And this is inarguably them redacting names of people that are not victims. It's crazy.
Like I said, why are they doing that? I think I'm gonna tell you the truth. It's money talks. The right, there's some powerful people in there that had some strings pulled, and I'm really looking at him like, okay, you must have made your money all good. Shit, hey, power to you, brother. Preach the gospel.
And it's so blatant. It's right in your face. Like, the proof is in the pudding, and yet I know people are going to deny it still. It's fucking unhinged. There is no world where you can spin a narrative here where these redactions in these places make sense, because there's no way that what they're talking about right there can possibly be minors or victims. These are co-conspirators that are being protected. That's fucking insanity.
But anyways, you can see that it says attempts were made to blank and Brunel, that's Jean-Luc Brunel, the famous who's now dead.
Whoa.
Blank is confirmed to live in New York, was away for the holiday weekend. We did not have a good address, but an attempt was made in New York. Attempts are made to Maxwell today. Blank, you get it. Like, it's all the people they suspected this whole time are redacted, of course. And then they say, I do not know about Ohio contacting Wexner. Now, that's a reference to Les Wexner, the former CEO of Victoria's Secret. This is huge. We've long suspected that he was, of course, one of the co-conspirators. And obviously, the fact the FBI suspected it isn't a 100% proof confirmation. But clearly, they were serving grand jury subpoenas. I mean, that must be who they're talking about, one wealthy businessman in Ohio, because later it's confirmed by this whole idea of Ohio contacting Wexner.
Even though most of the names are redacted, it's not all of them. So Wexner's name appears here, as well as Brunel, but as CoffeeZilla mentioned, he's dead. He's already burning in hell right now. But Wexner, this was someone that they grand jury subpoenaed, seemingly, and I don't think I've heard a peep about any kind of consequences or justice being served over there, or any kind of like pursuit on analyzing his connections here to all of this, even though he is here in one of the emails here about being a co-conspirator. What happened there? The well ran dry or something? Like, it turns out he was completely innocent?
Again, money and power, money, power, and influence happen there.
That seems kind of hard to believe. That'd be a surprising, shocking twist, more so than a fucking Darman video. I don't know about that. That seems a little fishy. And again, why are other names here blacked out? Why are co-conspirators being protected? Why aren't their identities being revealed? Food for thought.
And you can see at the bottom, this is from the FBI New York. When you get a chance, give me an update on the status of the 10 co-conspirators. This is really bad to know that we knew as early as 2019 the right people to target, and yet our FBI, who's had evidence of this the entire time, or leads on it, has declined to prosecute, right? Because this is what the FBI now tells us. Oh, don't bother. Don't worry about it. That's what they wanted us to believe in July. Fast forward to December, we find out there's 10 guys that they knew about since like 6 years ago. You know, it's insane.
It is insane, because their position has been like, oh, there was nothing actionable in there, so, you know, stop asking us. Just pipe down. We're busy covering shit up. Stop asking questions, has basically been the philosophy. Our hands are tied. There was nothing. It's all a hoax. Actually, no, the files are on Pam Bondi's desk. No, the files don't exist. It's all a hoax. Wait, actually, here's a ton of fucking files. Nothing's actionable, though. And according to Kash Patel, it was just Jeffrey Epstein. Nobody else. Why? It doesn't go deeper than that. That's it. Case closed. It's a fucking mess. It's a complete circus. And now that we have this kind of information out there, it's even more sickening to know that they are just blatantly protecting these pedophiles, these evil, evil people that engaged in unthinkably heinous actions. They are still getting away with it. And they know, and have known since 2019 apparently, that there are others out there still at large and are just not doing anything about it, and would instead rather lie, saying, oh, there's nothing actionable or anything. Yeah, there was really nothing in there at all. In fact, it was all make-believe. In fact, Jeffrey Epstein was never real in the first place. Jeffrey Epstein was the friends made along the way. What are you guys talking about? It's so absurd. It is downright diabolical. The corruption is so blatant, it is right in your face. And even when we are getting drip-fed the tiniest tiddlywinks of information about this case that have been heavily redacted, mind you, we are still seeing just how depraved this is. There is so much evidence that they can't even sweep it all under the rug. We are still finding just how bad this is. Now just imagine what they're keeping from you and covering up, and what they've already probably burned and fucking snapped out of existence. And imagine if they actually did follow the rules here and only redact victim information. Just imagine how many people we could point to as blatantly corrupt and needing to be thrown in jail. For the last 6 years, having this kind of information and not acting on it, and to this day, having so many people in the highest levels of government denying its existence and trying to pretend that it's all fucking phony baloney, make-believe, dirty barnacles, horseradish, it's a hoax, it's not real, that kind of thing. Can you imagine if this information did actually properly release with only victims' information redacted?
Even over here, we see that in one of the lawsuits, I believe this is with Maxwell, the government actually wanted to refer to people at trial as co-conspirators of the defendant, aka Maxwell, for the purposes of a rule. And then they say Jeffrey Epstein, and then there are two names listed there who are going to be listed as co-conspirators. Again, who are those people? We were told that the only co-conspirator now is Maxwell, and if you don't believe that, you're crazy, you're a conspiracy theorist. But back in 2020, this was an idea not just promulgated by wackos, it was promulgated by who? The FBI themselves, the Department of Justice. Look at this. Co-conspirator question transcript. This is from USA NYS. They say, question, when Jeffrey Epstein died, a lot of people asked, who's next? Is the government going to hold people who are accused of helping him recruit these girls? Are they going to hold them accountable? And then the answer is, well, I'll note that the original charges against Jeffrey Epstein contained a conspiracy charge, and we allege that there were conspirators involved. Jeffrey Epstein couldn't have done what he did without the assistance of others. And I can assure you that our investigation is moving forward, except I guess not.
Yeah, that investigation hit a brick wall. That investigation went off the tracks and fell into a fucking nitroglycerin facility and just blew up, because that shit has not been pursued clearly. As CoffeeZilla mentions, this idea of there being more than just Epstein and Maxwell, the highest level of authority has been saying, you're crazy if you believe that, you are falling for, nonsense fairy tale garbage. But even the FBI years ago was saying the same things internally here, and even agreeing that it couldn't have been done alone. They were even moving to call other people associated with this co-conspirators. Information redacted on those names there. But they knew certain individuals to target for this that they were going to be looking into with the investigation, and assuring them that the investigation is moving forward on these co-conspirators, and then it doesn't. Why did it magically stop? What happened? What changed? And why, if all of this information is still at the government's fingertips, do they continue to lie and pretend as though it doesn't exist and that there's nothing here at all that the public didn't already know? They've already given out justice by sending Maxwell to a summer camp. That's all they can do. That's the only power they can muster here.
Picked a great meme, but your voice doesn't quite match it.
We have a fix.
We're gonna leave it at that. I'm kind of scared watching it, gang. I ain't gonna.
What's even more concerning?
I'm kind of scared. Okay, we'll keep going.
concerning is our president also seems concerned with the wrong people.
The victims were protesting that too many of them were redacted.
I know there are a lot of people that are angry about all of the pictures of other people, but I think it's terrible. Look, I like Bill Clinton. I've always gotten along with Bill Clinton. I've been nice to him. He's been nice to me. We've always gotten along. Respect him. I hate to see photos come out of him, but this is what the Democrats, mostly Democrats, and a couple of bad Republicans are asking for. So they're giving their photos of me, too. Everybody was friendly with this guy. I think it's a terrible thing. I think Bill Clinton's a big boy. He can handle it. But you probably have pictures being exposed of other people that innocently met Jeffrey Epstein years ago, many years ago.
What an interesting perspective. That is a fascinating thing for him to harp on so much about, like, well, we got to think about all the innocent people that met with Jeffrey Epstein. That's what we should be focusing on, and how damaging and how traumatizing this must be for them, those innocent people that hung out with Jeffrey Epstein, all the lawyers and bankers and all of them. Heart breaks for them. Bill Clinton, I can't believe he got wrapped up in this. Love that guy. This is a crazy set of circumstances. He's a big boy, though. Side note, Bill Clinton apparently just put out a statement this afternoon saying release the entirety of the files. So Bill Clinton's like, just do it, pussy. That was a crazy plot twist I certainly didn't expect, because I can't imagine a world where Bill Clinton isn't also wrapped up in this shit. I think that guy is beyond guilty. I bet he had a whole fucking lodge named after him on Epstein's Island. Like, I find it hard to believe that somehow he'd walk out of this squeaky clean. Sounds like mutually assured.
Unless they sucked. Unless Monica Lewinsky cleaned him off really good. Hey, yo.
Destruction here, and Bill Clinton's just throwing his meat on the table, challenging him to do so. And I guess we'll see how it all shakes out from there.
No pun intended.
That Constantine is pointing out, Trump's focus is more about, like, there's innocent people here. We have to keep in mind, think of the innocent multi-millionaire and billionaires that didn't know Jeffrey Epstein for all the bad stuff. They just knew him for cracking jokes and stuff, and just being a guy, just being one of the dudes. Like, why is that what you're focusing on? Why wouldn't you instead be focusing on trying to catch all of the people that have just completely been swept under the rug? Why would that not be the focus? Why instead would you be pretending none of this is real, it's all a hoax? That's very peculiar. I think that's pretty concerning. And when you do have an opportunity to release the files, why are they so heavily redacted with hundreds and hundreds of pages completely blacked out? That looks very guilty. That looks like a really big admission of guilt.
Now, I'll be honest, he gets off track from here, but the point he was making is that those poor, innocent, bankers who were meeting with Epstein, the poor lawyers who were meeting with Epstein, like all of Epstein's friends are just caught up in this unfortunate thing. And it's just such a reversal of what previously the DOJ and FBI believed. In fact, they believed it so much that they got a federal search warrant for the SDNY, and they got it, and part of the seizable data, part of the stuff that they commanded them to seize as part of the search warrant, and part of it says evidence concerning the identity or location of co-conspirators of Jeffrey Epstein, including blank and Ghislaine Maxwell. So again, who is blank? Well, they keep redacting the names of these co-conspirators, uncharged, remember, and now they're saying we have no evidence to charge anybody. Clearly, they had evidence for a search warrant, and it's just completely ridiculous that some of this stuff is redacted and that we're viewing the rich and powerful people who are mentioned as the victims here.
Once again, just further evidence that they are indeed scrubbing the name of co-conspirators. These are not victims or minors that they are taking the names out of here. Thus, they are breaking the rules of how this is supposed to go. It is blatant, this cover-up. There is no world where that is somehow a victim there, yet their name has been redacted. Why? Why are they hiding the co-conspirators' identities? It's fucking outrageous. And people should be very mad about this. But I have no doubt, again, it's 5 a.m. right now, so I haven't seen like the full response to all of this now being out there, but I know there's going to be people that are butt-chugging the Kool-Aid to such an unbelievable degree that the delusion has fully taken hold, that they're going to go through these mental gymnastics to explain why actually there's nothing fishy going on here. This is totally normal. Right. They did everything by the book, and you're making a mountain out of a molehill. Clearly the most transparent administration in American history at work here, obviously. Which just, again, you have so much evidence to prove that this is not by the book here. this is indeed a co-conspirator's name and many other examples of co-conspirators' names being redacted. Not victims, not minors. Unless they're trying to say that these names here are victims, these people that are potentially co-conspirators of Epstein, they're also victims. And in that case, you need to be institutionalized ASAP if that's what you think. That is a fucking crazy take. But I guess it's not the most outrageous thing to picture someone believing when you have someone like Trump who continues to just drive that point home, where it seems like he's not even really focused on the actual victims of Epstein and all of his clients. He's instead more focused on like, oh, the innocent guys, we used to, just go watch the ball game together with Jeffrey Epstein. They had no idea, and my heart breaks for them. Oh, Bill Clinton playing a song on my world's smallest violin. Like, he's just constantly bringing up, like, oh, so many innocent people. They're getting wrapped up in all this Epstein hoopla. I can't believe we're still talking about it. You're a bad person if you're talking about it. Which is
right, because he knows he was there too. He knows he was in the mix. He says, yeah, there's a lot of us that were friendly with him. A lot of his inner circle, a lot of his power circle is connected. It's his almost duty and obligation to protect them. Because even after he gets out of office, he knows a lot of those people who help donate to his campaigns. A lot of those people are the ones he can confide in. A lot of people he shares secrets with, and things like that. So yeah, they're in the same club. They play for the same team, and it's good that they're laying it all out there, laying it all out there for you, and letting us know. Some people are a little bit more, get a little bit more justice than others. People get a little more justice than others. But I'm sure that the pressure is going to stay up, and we'll see more of those. More information comes to the light here soon. But let me know your thoughts and comments on that one. I'll see you in the next one, fam.